50 Cent has just shared new footage showing Diddy looking visibly unsettled during his time in prison, and the video is quickly going viral online. Earlier reports had painted a picture of Diddy enjoying himself behind bars, sipping wine, and even sharing business tips with fellow inmates. But this new footage suggests that things may not be as straightforward as they seemed. And some unexpected challenges are emerging that Diddy may need to navigate carefully.
This guy's life might be danger over here because people think that he has something to do with Pac. People think he has something to do with Biggie, and they right here in Brooklyn. You understand? It's right here in Brooklyn, and some of the people are still mad that he made Making of the Band walk to Brooklyn from, to get the cheesecake, and just around the corner from the Cheesecake Factory. So, Junior's. So it might be some dumb shit. So y'all need to get him out of here and ship him to Jersey because somebody gonna kill him over here. Those are good arguments, if you want to call it, but it's bullshit. He gonna get the same treatment no matter how much money he got.
For years, the deaths of Tupac Shakur and Christopher Biggie Wallace have loomed over hip-hop, leaving a lasting impact on the culture. Throughout all this time, Diddy has consistently denied any involvement in either tragedy.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Tupac Shakur was shot in a drive-by in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996, and fought for 6 days before dying at just 25 years old. Only 6 months later, Christopher Biggie Wallace was killed in a similar attack in Los Angeles on March 9th, 1997. Two rap legends gone back-to-back during a time when the music world was split, the infamous East Coast vs. West Coast feud. This wasn't just music, it was pride, loyalty, and long-standing tension, as Biggie's close friend, producer, and head of Bad Boy Records, Diddy, stood firmly on the East Coast side. Over the years, his name kept coming up in conversations about both deaths, and those discussions resurfaced with the Netflix docuseries Sean Combs. The Reckoning, which premiered on December 2nd, several people in the series suggested Diddy may have played a role. Co-founder of Bad Boy Kirk Burrow explained the tension didn't come out of nowhere. Tupac and Diddy moved in similar circles, but that changed on November 30th, 1994, when Tupac went to Quad Studios in New York to record a guest verse for Diddy's artist Little Sean. Instead, he was robbed and shot 5 times in the lobby. He survived, but the trust was shattered by 1996. Tupac was asked directly in a Vibe magazine interview whether he believed Diddy was involved, highlighting just how high the stakes were in that era of hip-hop. Was never officially solved, but according to Gan Deal, there may have been more going on behind the scenes than previously reported. He claims that on the day of the incident, Diddy, Andrew Harrell, and Jimmy Henchman were all together in Jimmy's office, a detail not highlighted in the 50 Cent documentary. Gan says that Biggie and Suge Knight were unaware of this meeting. According to Gan, Diddy's presence wasn't coincidental. At the time, he controlled Biggie's publishing and wanted to monitor his work on new material. While at the studio, Gan claims that Jimmy Henchman reportedly mentioned that Tupac would be confronted over a financial dispute.
The interim of him being there to spy on Big, Jimmy Henchman told him that they finna teach Pac a lesson. Because Pac had owed him some money. So that's why he was up in the studio and was coming to the studio. Pac owed him some money. He was gonna work it off and get some money from doing a song with Lil Sean. And that's what that was about. But Pac was talking greasy to Jimmy Henchman, and Jimmy Henchman wasn't the type of dude that you talk greasy to, allegedly. Unless you're 50 Cent.
So Diddy knew what was going to happen about it.
He knew Pac was about to deal well, yeah. He was there to see it. He was there to see it. He wasn't only there to see Big them. When Jimmy Henchman told him that, he was there to see what's going to happen to Pac. He was there for that. Because had he not been there for that, he would have went up there in the office. He would have went to the studio or the studio session with Big Nim. He would have went to that studio session with Big Nim. He knew what room Big Nim was in. He didn't do that. He was there to see what was going to happen to Pop after Jimmy told him. And that's factual.
The people directly involved are gone, but the paper trail remains. Records, checks, and transactions don't disappear, and Gann believes they could hold the key to uncovering the truth. Nearly 2 years after the Quad Studio incident, Tupac was shot in Las Vegas, a case that remained unsolved for decades and fueled countless rumors in hip-hop. Everything shifted in September 2023 when Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was arrested and charged with murder, with prosecutors saying he played a significant role in the killing. Then, in July 2024, a court filing revealed a previously undisclosed 2009 police interview in which Davis allegedly described his involvement and mentioned Diddy, claiming he had ordered the shooting in response to tensions with Tupac. A DDA and U.S. Department of Justice report also referenced a 2008 interview where Davis reportedly said Diddy had expressed frustration over disputes with Tupac and offered him money to address the situation.
Yeah, Kirk Burroughs, he also said that, he feels like, Diddy was behind Pac murder.
Yeah. If Diddy played a part in that stuff, like he said, Kirk know where the money came from. I'm going to say this. They tried to, if you talk about the Vegas trip and the whole 9 yards, Kirk said that he paid for people to drive out to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? He said he paid for people to drive out of Vegas. I was heavily with Bad Boy at that time. I don't remember that part of it. You understand? I don't remember that part of it. But if Kirk knew and he was paying for people to drive out to Vegas in the whole 9 yards, it's hard to hide $1 million, brother. You ain't going to cash that in the check cashing place. You signing that over to somebody. I said 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times again. Eric Von Zip showed me and my man Boondang, a.k.a. my man Slick, a check for $1 million. We don't know, and everybody trying to say, lying, talking about half of it got paid, $500. I don't know. I know when I asked him about, we asked him, do we ask? No, we didn't ask him. I know when he showed us a check and he walked away after he showed us the check for the $1 million.
Diddy has denied all allegations. In July 2024, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department confirmed that Sean Combs was never considered a suspect in the Tupac Shakur homicide investigation, and Diddy has never been charged in connection with the case. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis has pleaded not guilty and remains in custody with his trial delayed. Even after Tupac's death, tensions reportedly remained high. Sources say Diddy and his East Coast team were cautioned against traveling to the West Coast, yet he continued with plans to promote Biggie's upcoming album. Biggie was hesitant, but Gann Burroughs claimed in Sean Combs the reckoning that Sean persuaded him to follow through with all the promotional activities.
Diddy's claim was an informant in 1997 who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to kill both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting. This was exactly the same story that Keefe D told us a decade later. Very few people know that immediately after Tupac is shot and that white Cadillac is fleeing, one of the death row entourage, a guy named Alton McDonald, known as Buntree, chases after the Cadillac, and a second shooting takes place between the two vehicles. Alton McDonald's car is struck. In fact, within the Las Vegas files, there's a document that indicates that Alton McDonald's car had been struck by a bullet that night.
Yeah,
He
he
said
even
that.
said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a hire or something, you know what I'm saying?
The FBI said it was just Zip.
So the FBI told you the
They said he
same
was a
thing.
dirty motherfucker.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as
They
well.
said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody crossed you. You're the last one to know every fucking thing, even lawyers, your friends.
Gandil has corroborated these details, revealing that Clark Kent, who was close to Biggie and well-connected in the industry, had questioned why Biggie was out that night instead of traveling as planned. When Clark asked about their trip to the Peterson Museum, Biggie explained it had been arranged by Puffy and another associate. According to Gann, he didn't even realize this arrangement until Clark publicly mentioned it years later.
In an interview that Puffy did with Fat Joe where he was talking about Biggie in his last moments in LA, and he told Fat Joe that he didn't want to go to LA, he actually wanted to go to London. But Biggie, he was the one that wanted to go to LA, and he was the one that was pushing to go to LA.
That's not true. My name is Kirk Burrows. I ran Bad Boy Entertainment. I helped co-found it. I created the company with him. I raised from general manager to president. And at that time, I put all of those business plans together. And Biggie didn't want to go to LA, ended up going. What got him out there was a week ahead of time to ease him into the whole award show. He may not have wanted to go to London, but was talked into it. First time ever, a rapper of your stature getting this treatment, that would be something he would be interested in doing, but he was easily talked out of it by Sean so that they can make an appearance at an event in LA that Saturday night, a part of the posturing of not only did we come to the award show, not only am I recording my album out here, and Big is gonna help me with some of the writing and maybe do something out here where me and him did this song in LA, I'm out on the town. And it was just too much coming in. He was friendly with Big. He saw Little Sean, people like that. They wanted him to come and do a record. That was what was set up at Quad. Biggie knowing Little Sean, they were all there, C's, all of them. It was just gonna be a fun night at the studio. Pac showed up. He saw them looking down from the window. His new friends were there. An incident happened in the elevator. It might have been a scary thing, like just to send a message. Tupac standing his own ground, just didn't leave it at that. He ended up getting hit, getting shot. The elevator went up. Our people were shocked to see him in that state. He was shocked to see our people looking at him shocked. He thought that they knew something about it. He thought if he was in New York and he was with all the rappers from the East, they must have known what was going to happen. It had to be in the wind. And situations aren't laid out like that. And it was the furthest thing from the truth, but he held that to his heart. And then he went away. A few other things happened, got better, got repaired, went away, went to jail on a rape charge. Once that came down on him, it looked as if the East Coast must have been the worst thing and the worst place for him to have come to. And it looks as if the friends that he had just turned their backs on him. Suge stepped in. Suge stepped in. And when Suge stepped in, he signed him. He signed him to a napkin at Clinton. And that letter that he sent through Wendy Day, she was definitely a person that was connected and a mediator between most everyone in the hip hop game and had been for a minute, legendary person. She delivered the letter to my office. It started with West Side Up. So it gave an indication of rumblings that we heard in the street with him being shined by Suge was definitely true. He's gonna go west when he come back, and he has an issue with us. A woman by the name of Wendy Day, very important woman in the hip hop world. I think she helped Baby and those guys with Cash Money label, setting that up. She's very influential and instrumental in a lot of success. When I started in the music business, I reached out to her. She had a company called Rap Coalition. She went back and helped rappers from a previous generation get their money straight, their royalties. With that being said, I was like, she's someone I want to know. In knowing her, I had the good fortune of when she was dealing with Tupac during his crises on the East Coast, she went to visit him at Clinton. He wrote a letter, drafted it, so that she can bring it to me at the office so that I could know and be able to relate to Sean where we were with him. And the letter, if I remember, it said, West Side Up. And what we had heard was rumblings that Suge had came and signed him on a napkin to a contract, and he was going to go west, and all the stuff that happened to him on the East and made it look like people on the East, King or the biggest rappers on the East, or people that he knew should have warned him or protected him against what had happened. And it just is not geographically laid out like that. And a lot of people caught some blame for things that they had nothing to do with. And he took offense, went west, and that started him as a mouthpiece against the East, all right, going at Biggie. And I think it's more than, that's one level of the beef. Then I think there's another level of things that were going on in the streets where things happened in the dividing line between East and West that caused a big rift that led to mouthpieces going at each other.
They wasn't going out to no party, no clubs, and no hip hop scene. They wasn't doing none of that, brother. But that one particular night they go out, and it was because of Puff and D-Rock. Clark Kent said that shit himself. I've been saying it for years, but everybody was saying, I'm capping. Nah. What do you call Clark Kent? Is he capping? He's a vice president of a record company. You understand what I'm saying? He was DJing for Big. Is he capping? All these people should smack themselves, brother. Because what happened is, when people hear the truth, they can't believe it. Why? They can't understand it. But it happened. We couldn't have done nothing because it was no we. It was no we out there. Big had a security, Paul Alford, Reggie Bullock. Puff had me and Kenny. We was down 6 to 8 other men. And it's 23 people in the entourage. And none of them got no guns. You don't go Cali empty-handed. We couldn't have done nothing.
Perceptions have changed slightly, gradually over time. Today, I look at Diddy with through a different lens than I might have 10, 15 years ago. There were obviously some early red flags, but it's a complicated thing because we have to be very careful about falsely accusing people or even, making accusations based on nothing more than speculation. And we just haven't seen all the evidence. So I prefer to kind of withhold judgment on some things. I can tell you regarding Diddy back when Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls were murdered. He wasn't exactly cooperative. He didn't do what you would assume a friend or a manager, so to speak, would do. So from a law enforcement perspective, he was very unhelpful in an area where he ought to have been contributing towards getting some type of justice in those 2 murder cases. But as we found out in time, he was complicit in one of them, and which would make sense why maybe he didn't cooperate in the other, because the 2 were, they were just, we always understood that they were somehow interconnected. And so if you're going to cooperate or provide information on one and you're culpable in the other, one thing could lead back to the next. And that's where I think he understood his own vulnerability.
You made about how when you would bring up Pac name around Diddy, he'll get mad.
Yes. He hated every bit of it. I remember one time, he was like, who did you grow up listening to? I'm like, Tupac, I ain't mentioned Biggie. That nigga ain't even talked to me for like 4 fucking days after that. Everything with Pac, like, you couldn't say Pac was anything better than Biggie. You can't put them in the same realm or nothing. It was all about Biggie. Nigga, I ain't know no fucking, it was all a dream whole song. I knew a couple words, the first verse maybe, but he made us recite the whole fucking thing. I guess, I don't know. He made us recite that whole fucking thing. And I don't think that Biggie would have gave a if a nigga would have killed about reciting this whole shit. You dig? Like, cause I grew up listening to Biggie too, you know? And I just felt Pac different. These situation, I think the real reason why they ain't gonna let Puffy out is because they trying to connect that Keefer D situation with Puffy. That's what I really think it is. Cause if it came down to some significant foolishness and all that, there are a buku chumped up charges they couldn't prove, I don't think they got no evidence. I think they trying to keep them in there to lock in that Keefer D. You hear me? That Keefer D situation with Puff. I think that's the only reason why he's still in jail right now. They know Puff is not a dangerous person on the outside. They know if they let him out right now, he's gonna be on house arrest. He's gonna be a good boy. He fuck around and do all church little videos and whatever. They know that already. That's not what they aiming for. They don't care about none of that. What they care about is they trying to connect Keefer D with Biggie. I mean, with Tupac and Diddy. I'm telling you, that's what I feel. And I never thought I would have said that, but I'm an intelligent man, bruh. And ain't no other way they gonna keep you in there of, oh, yeah, oh, Diddy did this to me. Oh, Diddy did that to me. I'm suing him. Oh, we got enough evidence to. No, you don't. That's accusations. That's not actual factual, brother. You dig? So I feel like the actual factual thing that they really trying to aim for is the Keefer D. That's the only thing that they can really lock him in with. All the rest of that shit gonna get chumped down when it come down to it. Diddy gonna plead, and that shit be over with. What they going? That rabbit in the hole is gonna be that Keefer D situation. I'm telling you, mark my words. Watch. That's why they ain't gonna let him out. They would have let Keefer D out on that bail. Vegas got a little thing. They'll let you out on bail, but they got little restrictions of how you can get out. You dig? So they gonna make sure your ass can't get out of jail. Trust me. So that's the only way I see that. Because the feds play a different game.
I think 50 Cent is ready for anything that comes his way. There have been rumors that Diddy is trying to sue Netflix for $1 billion, but so far nothing has appeared in court, no filings, no signed paperwork. If there were a solid reason to sue, there would have been a cease and desist order on the documentary by now. As it stands, it's mostly talk and headline news. The question on everyone's mind: will we ever see Diddy face any conviction in connection with Tupac's murder? Let us know what you think in the comments.